See? Okay, so on this card, we are going to do a little bit of what we call masking. And we're going to also make her dress with some designer series paper, which I did last week when I did our card buffet on Friday. I showed you one of the cards, and it had this lovely lady here, and it showed her dress was made out of designer series paper, which is a fun thing to do to add a little accent to your card. Okay, so I'm going to start out, and we're going to all say a prayer together that this goes the way it's supposed to go. And if not, I know you guys love me, so it'll all work out. So I'm going to start with a piece of Whisper White. Okay, just like that. I've already pre-stamped her, so she's already on there. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to come in and I'm going to use the mountains from the Mountain Air. And I want to make sure that I'm using my Memento ink pad. And why is that? Because we are going to be doing coloring today with Stampin Blends. And if you use one of our other blacks, this is fade resistant. So, and it will not run. Okay, so we want to make sure we're using Memento. So we're going to ink up our mountains here. And we're all going to try not to move my space, sorry. Okay, so I'm only going to ink up the one side of my mountain, and I'm going to come in right at her shoulder and stamp the mountain, okay? This is a nice and dark Memento. It's one of my new ones. And then I'm going to come in on the other side of her shoulder and stamp the other mountain. So it looks like she's walking through towards the mountains, okay? So that was the first thing I did. Then the second thing I did was I actually stamped her on a scrap piece of paper, and I just cut around her. And the reason I did that is I'm going to lay this right here on top to cover her up while I stamp my field of, we're going to call this lavender. So while I'm stamping my lavender. So I'm going to start, I just put my finger on there. Okay, like that. And then I'm going to come back and I'm just going to kind of go in between, because you know it grows over top of each other, but you don't want it to be too busy. So you just stamp your field like that. Hi, Ruby. Happy Friday. Thanks for joining me. Okay, and I just keep her there. And then I'm going to continue to stamp around her. And you can actually, if you want to, you can tack her down with just the tiniest bit. I mean the tiniest bit of snail. Okay, and if you put it where her dress is, we are going to cover that up. So you can tack her down, and then you don't have to worry about holding on to her. Okay, so I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to start with my lavender. And again, hi, Kathy. Happy Friday. Thanks for joining me. Hi, Karen. Everybody's popping on. So I'm just going to stamp my little field of lavender. And it can be whatever your favorite flower is too, but lavender makes me happy. It's peaceful, it's calming, so we're going with lavender. All right, so then I'm going to remove her very gently, okay? And then it looks like she's standing right in the field of lavender. Okay, so then the next thing we are going to do is we are going to create a dress for her, because we want her to look fancy when she's, you know, running through the fields of lavender or walking swiftly or just standing. So what I did is, this is a great way to use your DSP. So this DSP is designer series paper. Sorry, I forget. Sometimes people are like, what in the world is DSP? That stands for designer series paper. And this one is actually from our idea book and catalog, and it is called Floral Essence. And you can see what I did is I cut a 3-inch strip, and I just kind of played around. These are actually flowers, kind of a little Monet look. And I just played around with the placement of her dress and where I wanted the certain colors. And let me show you. So it's on page 108 if you have our main idea book and catalog, and it's this beautiful paper right here. So there's so many options. If you want to dress her up and make a couple different cards, you can, use the purple hues, and so totally your choice. Okay. So the one that I chose that I like the best is this one here. Okay. I liked how it, it kind of had that yellow at the bottom, had a little splash of green. And so that's the one that I am going to cut out and use. Hi, Carolyn. Happy Friday. So what I'm going to do is this is kind of whimsical. So all you need is the dress for this part. So don't feel bad for her. Okay. We're just cutting the dress. So you're going to come in, you're going to cut around the arms. And then I also cut around her hair. And then I came back and you can see her little nice waist there. She's been working out during the pandemic. She looks great. Okay, so that's the dress. Then I'm going to come back in and I just kind of did a little cutting down there at the bottom with the dress. And isn't that beautiful? Doesn't that look so pretty? And it just adds a nice little pop of color right there in the center of the card. If you wanted to, you could color that in with your blends, totally up to you. But I think it just adds another, kind of like another layer of detail to your card. So I'm going to put that aside, okay? Her little dress is right here, okay? And I am going to color her body, which would be her arms. My favorite, I don't know what I had a little pile here. Oh, here they are. If you could see what's behind the scenes, you guys would laugh. I like to use ivory when I'm coloring in skin tone. And these are our Stampin Blends. And like I said, that is why we are using our Memento ink, because we're going to be coloring in this our detail with Stampin Blends. So there's a thick side and there's a thin side, just like our markers, our Stampin' Write markers. But these make you feel like Picasso. And so I'm just going to go ahead and her skin tone there. Okay. That's it. Just her arms. That's all we need. And then I'm going to come back with this is my other favorite color. This is bronze. And I don't know why I like this one, but I just do. To me, it's like the perfect brown. So we're going to have a brunette here. And if you want to make her a blonde, if you want to give her some, amazing highlights, you can do that too. But today I just have a brunette. Give me a thumbs up if you're a brunette. All those brunettes out there watching, give me a thumbs up. Okay, so there she is. Okay, so we've colored in that piece. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do before I put all this together is I'm going to create clouds in the sky. There are two ways that you can do this. The way that I chose is there is actually a cloud right in the Mountain Air stamp set. You'll see it. I'm going to show you here. See that little cloud there? Okay. Oh, I got a little thumbs up. There's a brunette in the audience. Carolyn, yes. So there is a die that is in this Mountain Air. So what I did is I cut it out, and that's what I'm going to use to make my clouds. If you do not have the die, that is completely fine. You could use a scalloped circle punch. We also have the label punch that you could use. If you had this, you could punch this out, and you see how it resembles a cloud, and you could make your clouds using the label punch as well. Okay. And I'm going to use, these are so much fun. They're like finger puppets for stampers. This is my sponge dauber. I'm going to use this and my Balmy Blue ink. This is one of our newer blues, and it's beautiful. Perfect for this guy. I'm going to put that off to the side. Well, maybe I'm not. Maybe I lied. I'm going to dip my sponge in it, but I'm going to show you here what I'm doing. See how dark that is? I don't want my sky to be that dark. So I am going to, off to the side here, kind of daub it, is what they say. Then I'm going to put my cloud right over her head, and I'm just going to sponge around. And see how it gives that little cloud image right there? Isn't that fun? And then I'm going to come back up here and I'm going to come around. And it's a very, sorry if I'm moving the camera while I'm making clouds in the sky. So there's your second cloud. But look at the detail that that adds to your project. You could leave your, your little sky just white, but oh my stars, who wouldn't love to have clouds in the sky? And it actually looks like a real sky there. At least in my world, okay? If you don't think so, just play along with me. But I love, blue clouds. So look at the clouds. Isn't that really neat? So it looks like she's actually walking into the mountains and the clouds, okay? So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put her dress on. So, and I just put this on with the adhesive of my choice, which is my snail adhesive. Okay. And so there's her dress. And then the next thing I did was I did coloring. And I'm not going to color in this whole thing with you today. I have some things I need to do this afternoon, but I'm going to show you where I started and what I did, okay? So the first thing I did is I went and I colored in the mountains. And for that, I used light crumb cake. Again, I'm coming back to my Stampin' Blends, and I'm going to go ahead and just color those in. One of the great things about Stampin' Up! Stamps, there's so many great things, but one of the great things is you'll see all the details that they provided in the mountains here, okay? So you can come back, talking about Stampin' Blends, we have a light and a dark. You can purchase them individually, so you could buy just the light, or you can purchase them together. Hi, Barbara here, happy Friday, as a duo. And that way you are able to go back and do some nice shading while you're coloring, okay? So then I'm gonna come back with my bronze. So I colored that in with the crumb cake. And we do have dark crumb cake, but I want a little bit more detail. So you can come back in with your mountains. And of course we know, we all, have taken geography and we've seen mountains. So we know that they have these little, cracks, landscape, topography, whatever we want to call it. I'm rolling out the big words today. So you can see, you can go back in and you can add that little bit of dimension with a darker color. So again, I'm going to color the tips of my mountains, and I'm going to come back and hit those little lines with just a little bit of added color, because we know mountains are not all one color. Okay, just like so. And then to blend, they're called Stampin' Blends. So I'm going to go back and I'm just going to go back over it, and you can see how it blends it in and it doesn't make it stand out as much. Okay. But like I said, my favorite brown, hue of brown, is the bronze. So we have that there. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ivory and I am just going to go along the bottom of the mountain to make it look like soil or sand or something there. Whatever you would like it to be, but just to give it a little bit of a differentiation, big word of the day, differentiation between what I'm going to color in is the grass and the mountains. Okay. So I chose to use, we have some amazing colors of purple. We have purple posy, and then we also have Highland Heather. And so I went and I found this to be easiest with our point, our tip. And I just went, and you can kind of go really quickly, and you're going to color over the little, and if it's in the lines, that's great. If it's not, we're doing artistic impression. Okay. Doing a little Monet here today. but you can kind of just, you know, go down and color those little flowers in like that. And I even went in and I colored the ones on her dress because they're supposed to be behind her as she's walking. So I went in and I colored those in. Okay, so you'll get the idea there of coloring that part in. And then I went, and this was a small labor of love. I went and I colored the grass, which was the rest of the white area. So I went around and colored that in. And like I said, I'm not going to do all of this for you today, but just to show you, I'm going to do a little section over here so I can show you what I did. Okay, and then I went back in with the point so you can get in between the little flowers there. Okay. So there's your little section there. And then I went back to make the little blades of grass stand out. So this was light old olive and now I'm using dark old olive. So I went and just went over the stems and the little blades of grass so that they stand out in your card. Okay. Isn't that a fun way to make a card using masking and some of those different techniques and using the DSP to make the dress? So I'm going to put this together. It's not completed. Okay. I don't want to take, like I said, I don't want to take up all of your afternoon as you sit here and watch me color with an old olive blend. But my card base I started out with was basic black. Then I came in and I had a layer of purple posy, and this is such a soft and calming color. You probably could if you wanted to stamp it. I don't know. I wanted to know, you're still going to have to stamp the girl in there and everything. That was just the way I did it, but I'm sure, you know, there are other ways that you could do that. I'm answering Carolyn's question. She asked if it'd be easier to color it in with green first, but I wanted to make sure I had my placement and everything. So I think, like I said, many ways to do it. That was just the way I chose. So we're going to start with a purple posy. Okay. And Carolyn, also, this is a card that I kind of created in my head. So I kind of, as it was, the creations were coming out is kind of how it came to fruition. So that's just how I did it the first time. But yeah, I bet that if you colored it all in green and then you could stamp, that would probably work out too. But then you would have to figure out your little purple flowers too. So, okay, so I have my cardstock, basic black. Then I have a layer of purple posy. Then I have another layer of basic black, and then I'm going to go ahead and put my image there on the on my card. And there's also a really neat thing in the, oh, and I forgot to bring them over. There are little birds that are in the, well, did I? No, I didn't. They're right here. I just can't see them. Some say light before dark. Yeah, I think it's just personal preference, to be honest. Whatever makes you happy and however you would like to color. I'm going to add my little birds here. Aren't they cute? So you have their little birds flying, and then you would put your sentiment up there in the right-hand corner. Okay, and there are 3 sentiments in this set. Thinking of you, collect beautiful moments, and you're somebody's blessing. So I chose Collect Beautiful Moments because I know if I were in this scene, it would definitely be something beautiful and breathtaking to be standing on a mountain and have a field of lavender behind you. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp this up in the corner, the right-hand corner. Did a little huffing. And there you have your piece. So let's bring this back. This is what it's going to look like. Dun, dun, dun. So that would be your final card. And you could play around with different colors, with different flowers, using maybe like a poppy parade and, you know, change her dress and change your background card color and make lots of different color schemes and have lots of different color schemes going. We have the beautiful painted poppy suite that has great DSP in it. So there's lots of different options that you have for this card, but I just wanted to share with you the masking and how to also combine 2 stamp sets to make a beautiful card.